Montague Island Nature Reserve is a tiny island, only 80 hectares in size, which lies just off the far south coast of New South Wales. It may be only a very small island, but it teems with life. One of the great things about Montague is this beautiful lighthouse made entirely of granite. It was constructed over 100 years ago to help guide ships and sailors along the south coast. But now it's really only a reminder of the lonely and harsh existence early settlers had to endure. While the lighthouse is a great spot for visitors, the most important thing about Montague Island is the abundance and diversity of wildlife that live here. The island is home to the second largest colony of little penguins in the world, and once a year it becomes a thriving breeding ground for all sorts of seabirds, especially shearwaters, crested terns and seagulls. The extraordinary thing is that some birds fly here to breed every year from as far away as Siberia. That's a journey of more than 20,000 kilometres. When they've finished breeding, they return all the way to Siberia again, and that is repeated year after year. The waters around the island provide abundant food supplies for a large population of Australian and New Zealand fur seals living on the rocky shoreline. Any visitors are greeted with a wonderful display of their swimming and diving ability. Even more exciting is that Montague is a great place to watch humpback whales as they make their annual journey to Antarctica. Montague Island is a great example of how all living things depend on each other for survival, what we call a web of life. From microorganisms to the smallest lichens and shrubs, from the tiniest crabs to the great humpback whales, they all need each other to survive, interacting as a single ecosystem. Over millions of years, an astounding variety of plant and animal species have evolved to perform a vital part in the web of life. That's what's known as biological diversity, or biodiversity for short. As Australians, we live on one of the oldest continents on Earth, one that's home to more than 1 million species of native plants and animals. In fact, there are so many different species in Australia that this is one of only 12 countries in the world that are called megadiverse. Did you know, for example, that most of our mammals and the vast majority of our frogs are found nowhere else on the planet? That shows how unique our biodiversity is and why we need to protect it. Biodiversity is very important to the health and well-being of all living things, including us. Why? Simple, really. It provides us with all the things we need to survive. For example, clean water, clean air, and healthy soils. It also provides us with food, medicine, clothing, and building materials. There are many people who value biodiversity for its beauty and the inspiration it gives them. Biodiversity also plays a major role in the cultural and spiritual beliefs of Australian Aboriginal people. Their understanding of biodiversity has developed over many thousands of years, and it's influenced the way they've managed and lived with the land. The way for us to keep our environment healthy is to maintain our country's biodiversity. So, how do we do this? One way is through our network of national parks that cover a range of different types of environments, from deserts to rainforests, to mountains, to the coasts, and everywhere between. The idea of setting up national parks to protect our environment and the plants and animals within them is by no means a new one. Australia's very first national park was established 130 years ago and became known as the Royal National Park. It's located just south of Sydney and is the second oldest national park in the world. Over the years, as we began to understand more and more about how important it is to preserve our biodiversity, more national parks were established. Today, almost 7% of New South Wales has been set aside to conserve our natural environments. The national parks of New South Wales are in some of the most spectacular areas in the world. They cover a wide variety of landscapes and environments, and they're places we can visit, walk in, and appreciate the landscape and wildlife they contain. Even more important, they're a safe haven for many of our endangered species such as the corroboree frog, mountain pygmy possum, and the glossy black cockatoo.